IVM.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories, India's very own travel podcast, where each week we discuss the story of travelers in their own words and relive their experiences with you, our listeners. Hi guys, I'm your host Saif and welcome to an all-new episode of the Musafir Stories. Today we have with us a very special guest, Satyarup Siddhanta, a professional mountaineer from West Bengal who, in 2017, became the first Bengali civilian to complete the 7 summits. That's the 7 highest peaks on the 7 continents. He is also only the 5th person from India to achieve this amazing feat. Satya is a certified mountaineer from the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute in Darjeeling and is also the president and founder of ABETO, a foundation for a better tomorrow. So buckle up and get ready to find out where Satya is taking us today. So with that introduction, I'd like to welcome Satyarup Siddhanta to the Musafir Stories. Satya, thank you so much for being a part of the Musafir Stories and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Satya. It's really our good fortune that we have you, an avid and professional mountaineer, come speak to us and share your story with our listeners. It's our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. I would say that I am not a professional mountaineer, as in professional mountaineer. I love to climb mountains. Yes, and it all started with a very humble beginning. It was never my dream to go and climb mountains because it was a kind of impossible dream for me. I was an asthmatic kid the whole of my school life, and till my college days I had to use inhaler to even walk on normal roads. So from there to think of climbing a small hill itself is a huge challenge, and here we are talking about Everest and highest mountain of all the continents. So the journey was very, very fascinating to me as well. So when I look back, it becomes wow.
I know.
So
absolutely. It's something to be really, really proud of, and gives you a sense of the sheer determination and the sheer willpower, right? You can go from being an asthmatic kid to scaling something like the Mount Everest. And I know Mount Everest is huge. Everybody knows that. But just to compare that in terms of, say, modern buildings, it's more than 10 times as tall as the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, right? So that's what we're speaking about, and it's really, really commendable that you've been able to do this, and we're really happy to have you on the podcast, Satya. But before we get into details, Satya, when did mountaineering or the love of mountaineering and mountains start? Like, how long does this date back to?
So in 2008, I actually saw a picture of a hill, and I was so fascinated by it just because I never thought that I can go and do some trekking or things like that. But when I saw that picture, and you won't believe that picture was not of Himalayas, not of Alps, not of Andes, but that picture was just a small hill in Tamil Nadu called Parvatmalai. And I was very, very fascinated by it, and then I decided to go for that trek. But given that my history of asthma, and I was not sure that whether I should go or whether I should not go. But then finally I bought a new inhaler, and I went there without letting anyone know that I was having asthma. So when I went to that particular trek, we were 10 people. And when we reached the top of that hill, it was not only the satisfaction of reaching the top of a hill, but it was also a kind of a sense of freedom that asthma is gone. I mean, like, at least it didn't come between me and my mountains. Absolutely. And then there was no looking back, and I started trekking all over the Western Ghats and till 2010. And then in 2010 December, I went to Everest Base Camp.
Okay.
And I didn't know anything about Everest before that, except that it was the highest mountain. But when I saw it in front of me, I think Everest did cast a spell on me, and it was so spellbound, and we were there for more than 2 hours watching it, and there were the plumes, and it was so mystic.
Yeah.
And I decided that I in fact promised Everest that I'm going to come back. And but that time also I didn't know what was mountaineering. I thought it was just a trek. But then when I came back after the base camp trek, and I started reading some literatures about that, and I was shocked. This is a totally different ball game altogether. It's not just a trek, and then I got to know that there is a field called mountaineering as well, and the sheer cost of that expedition. In that time, it was told that it cost 35 lakhs, and I was so heartbroken. So,
and this is back in 2010, you're saying?
Yeah, 2010 December, and I was counting literally that how many years I should work without touching my salary to manage that amount of money, and then the number was definitely not so pleasing number, and I almost gave up. But then one fine day I thought, why not? What if I can get a lottery in KVC or something like that? Will I be able to go? But the answer was no, because it's just not about the money. You need to have a right amount of skill, and need to have a right amount of experience. Then I thought, so if situation like that ever comes, I should be prepared and wait for that right moment. Who knows, if not today, if not tomorrow, maybe at the age of 50 I'll go, but I'll go, because that is one dream that I have seen, and how can I let go my dream? So then I went in 2011 December. I went for Himalayan Mountaineering Institute in Darjeeling.
Okay.
And got my first exposure in mountaineering. And that's how my journey of mountaineering started.
Excellent. And just to give our listeners a little bit of a background, before this, Satya was or is an IT engineer, right? You are an IT professional, and your first stint with professional mountaineering or going to a mountaineering school was in 2011, just before this trek.
Yeah, so in 2011 to go, I applied in January 2011 for a course of December 2011. And since, IT companies don't have a policy of having that many leave for 1 month and all. So every time I used to do some good work, good job, whenever I used to get a pat on the back, I used to remind my managers that I need 1 month leave, and I used to take those opportunities. And to ensure that I have more such opportunities, I started working even harder and smarter, and I used to finish projects much before deadlines, such that I used to get opportunity to talk to my bosses in US and Korea, and every time I used to bring that, and then they said, yeah, don't worry, we'll give you. And that's how I went there. But after 2011 December, when I decided to get some exposure, I decided to go and climb Killimanjaro. Now, when I was doing some research on Killimanjaro, I came across that Killimanjaro was a part of the 7 summits. And I was very curious that what is the 7 summits? And when I started reading about it, it was mind-blowing. The 7 summits is climbing the highest mountain of each of the continents. 7 mountains, 7 continents. And it was like, wow, what good an excuse can it be to roam around the world, right? But then I started laughing at my own dreams, because here I was talking about Everest, which was so costly, and that is only an impossible dream. And now I'm even going beyond, stretching my dreams from not only one mountain, but all the 7 mountains, that too, not in one place, but 7 corners of the world. So, but then again, I thought, why not take baby steps and see, what if I do this, then what would be my next mountain? Okay, what if I do that as well? What would be my next? So like that, I planned out the entire mountain, that what I should do after what. And then I thought, let me take one at a time. And I still remember that I went for my first trek, swiping my credit card, thinking that I will get my yearly bonus at the end of the year. And then I can come back and pay back that money. Unfortunately, that year I didn't get my bonus, and the whole year went to pay back that money for Killimanjaro. Then the next year I went to Mount Elbrus, which is the highest mountain of Europe. And this time again I went and swiped the credit card, thinking that last year I didn't get bonus, fine, but they cannot deny me this year. Irony was that second year also I didn't get my bonus.
Games IT companies play with us.
So then I decided that let me not think of any variable pay as a component that which was ever mine. But then third time also I thought, you know what, 3 times it cannot happen.
Third time
third time I went and took some loans and went and did some credit card swiping to go for the highest mountain in South America, Mount Aconcagua. And it's in Argentina. Yeah. And guess what? That year also I didn't get my bonus. And that was like horrible. But then I started living with it rather than craving about it. And then I got an opportunity to go and climb the Mont Blanc. So a lot of people think that Elbrus is not the highest of Europe. Mont Blanc should be climbed. And then I thought, why not climb both the peaks, as that there is no more controversies. And then this was in September 2014, and in June I went for Mount Denali, also called Mount Mckinley, which is the highest mountain of North America near Alaska. I literally had no more money after all these loans and all these credit cards, and that forced us to go unguided. And that mountain is such that, not many people have dared to go unguided. Right. So it was a huge risk, but we didn't want it to prove our bravado, but it was just that we didn't have any other options. And then I made a team of 5 friends from Nepal, from Bangladesh, from Canada, from US, and then I was from India, and we eventually went and climbed Mount Denali. So that gave me a huge confidence after climbing Mount Denali and Mount Mont Blanc, and I decided to pursue Mount Everest. But then the cost of the expedition we tried to reduce a lot, and we almost brought down 1/3 of what was the going rate. But and I had to do a lot of crowdfunding for that. I took some loans and finally went for Mount Everest in 2015. Excellent. And as we were approaching the base camp, Everest decided not to entertain us.
I know.
And there was a huge earthquake in Nepal in 2015, and more than 10,000 people died in Nepal. And the base camp, it triggered a big avalanche. Almost 21 people died in base camp. The Everest expedition got cancelled, and it was shocking because that much money was lost in a second, and the dreams were broken and crushed.
I know.
And I didn't know what to do, but then I composed myself back and brought back all my broken dreams, and again started building on that. Now, when I came back, I decided to. So by that time, I had to leave my job and go because there was no leave for 3 months, and I knew that if I come back alive, I'll definitely get a job somewhere. Doesn't matter, but then my company was kind enough to give me a consulting job, and that means to go beyond the policies of the company. And so I came back from Everest, and I decided to go and climb the highest mountain of Australia, which was Mount Kosciuszko. A small hill, so 1.5 hour marching peak, and we went there and came back. But then there was again another hitch that the whole mountaineering community has been divided into 2, where first a group, they believe that Kosciuszko is the highest mountain of Australia, but Messner, who is the father figure of modern day mountaineering, he has another list called Messner's list of 7 summits. The earlier one is a bus list. So Messner said that the highest mountain of Australia belongs in West Papua Island, Papua New Guinea Island in West Papua. And since Australasia and Oceania is actually formed of Australia, New Zealand and some islands, which Papua New Guinea also belongs to. And the plates of Australia did hit the Papua New Guinea. So that's why the highest mountain there should be called as the highest mountain of Australia. And here also I decided to do both because I didn't want someone to point a finger at me that, oh, you haven't done that. So,
yeah, I think by the sounds of it, the 7 summits would easily turn into 14 summits, I think, if there's a controversy for every continent.
Yeah, like I said, 9. It became 9 actually. So, and then what I did was I went and so after Kosciuszko, I again planned for Everest in 2016.
Right.
and went and climbed Mount Everest in 2016 on 21st May.
Before you get on with the journey to the Everest, I'd just like to say hats off to your sheer persistence and determination, Satya, that despite and in spite of all the adversities that you've faced, that you've come back and back again and stronger each time. In spite of all the controversies, the adversities, the earthquakes and whatnot. So hats off to all this sheer courage and determination that you've shown all along. But if I had to ask you, just in terms of preparation before you did Mount Everest, I know you'd been doing and you'd been like active in terms of mountaineering, right? Even before you did the Everest trek in 2016. But in terms of preparation and acclimatization, how early does this process start?
For Everest, I started my preparation 3 months before.
Okay.
So I hail from West Bengal, and that's why it's very common to have a sweet tooth. And I was no exception. And I hog chocolates and ice creams and sweets like anything in the whole year.
Rasgullas?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to stereotype, but it's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, and that exponentially increases my weight every time I go to Kolkata and come back. And but then just before the expedition, any of the expeditions, like 3 months before the expedition, I start my regime, where sweets are big no-no for me that time, and my diet changes to protein food and less carbohydrate, and then a lot of exercises. And I do have a checklist before I go for an expedition. That before I have to go for a mountain, I need to complete all this list, and this list includes a 6-minute plank, 14.5 kilometer run, 2 kilometer swimming, 45 kilometer running, 125 floors going up and down, like, so they are like, no, it's not in one day, but I mean, like, over that period, if I can reach those milestones, I believe that I am fit enough now to go for those expeditions. And then I set up a small gym at my house itself, because to support for my expedition, I started working at 2 places. I used to leave for office for morning 10 o'clock and finish one office, then go to the other office, finish that office, and come back every day at 11:30 in the night. It was getting very difficult to get up and get into those group classes for gym. So then I decided to hire an instructor who would come and wake me up and ensure that I don't miss on those essential trainings. And that included again cardio and strength and endurance, everything. So that's how I prepared for Mount Everest.
In terms of the duration, how long of a duration is this? Like setting out for the expedition to getting back? How long is this, Satya?
It's almost 2 months. 55 days, and you cannot go and climb Mount Everest in one shot.
Correct.
So you have to go to the base camp, then acclimatize, and our human body is not tuned to the altitude there. Like, they just tune to a sea level kind of thing, right? So there has to be a lot of physiological changes that needs to go through in our body. And we need to give some time to that, to our body in a scientific way. And one such catalyst is to go up and then come down, go up higher and sleep in the higher altitude, come down, like that, So we had to do 2 iterations before we actually went for the summit.
To the summit, what are the stops you make? Like, are there stops? Say you said base camp is one of them, right? So how many similar stops are there before you kind of hit the summit?
Right. So there are 4 camps before summit. After base camp, there are 4 camps.
Right.
Now, only in the first iteration, we stay in the first camp. After that first iteration, we just take a 5 minutes halt in the first camp, and we directly go to the second camp. So first time when we went to first camp, stayed there. The next day we went to camp 2, stayed there. Next day we went near the Lhotse face, a little bit ahead, around 200 meters more, and came back to camp 2. The next day we came back to base camp. So then this is the first iteration. Then the next iteration, we directly went to camp 2 with a small halt in camp 1. We went to camp 2. From camp 2 we went to the base of that Lhotse face again and came back. Then the next day we went direct to camp 3, stayed for some time there and came back to camp 2. And next day we came back to base camp. Then in the final summit push, we went to camp 2, then to camp 3, then final summit and came back. So this whole process,
right?
And there has to be some adequate rest in between. So this takes almost 55 days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then if I speak about the team you went with, how was this, Satya? Was this like a group of friends, or you have Sherpas also, I'm assuming? So how was the team?
So there were multiple teams from Bengal itself, and since I knew most of them, so I decided to go with them. And our team was 4-member team, and we were safe and sound, except one of our team members lost a finger. But the other two teams, there were one team member in one team, she lost 8 fingers. 8 fingers, and she had to be rescued. And other team, 3 of the 4 members died, and one was brought back with 1 finger had to be amputated.
Yeah, it's really scary to even listen to these things. So imagine going through these things as you're making the push for the summit, right? It needs tremendous willpower and focus as well. Not just physical. I think it's not just the physical strength. It's a lot of emotional and mental strength as well.
You have to be very, very strong emotionally, mentally, and there would be situations which would demand pushing your limits. When I was going up in the from Camp 2 to Camp 3, one Sherpa fell down from the top and just slid past by us, and it was very shocking. I mean, I have never seen someone die on the mountains like that, and I was frozen in fear and this and that.
Yeah, not just literally.
And then I had to apply a lot of NLP techniques. So I was in a shock state. After I reached to Camp 3, I was trying to sleep, and that was the last sleep before you go to Camp 4 and summit. There was no sleep after that. So actually, whenever I was trying to close my eyes, I was seeing that guy falling, and that was a big emotional problem. But then I decided to look it through another way. I realized that if somebody falls from the top like that, by the time he reaches 100 meters, he will be already dead by a heart attack or something, right? So then I changed the whole paradigm to think that I actually didn't see someone falling to his death, but I saw a dead body falling, and the whole equation changed, and then I could console myself and I could sleep. And there are a lot of this kind of thing happens on mountains. And even this time when I went to Antarctica in December, so the extreme cold and extreme the remoteness can create a lot of emotional impact, right? And I in fact had multiple expeditions stitched. So I went to Vinson Masiff, the highest mountain of Antarctica, to complete my 7 summits. Then just immediately after that, I went to ski to the South Pole by skiing around 111 kilometers from 89 degrees south to 90 degrees south.
Oh, wow.
And again, immediately after that, I went to Chile and climbed the highest volcano in the world, active volcano, Mount Salado. And then I also, as a preparation, I climbed 3 more mountains there. So physical strength, stamina, everything is required, fine, but your mental health is also very, very important.
Absolutely.
Just between the Everest and Antarctica, I went to Kosciuszko pyramid, which I was talking about, the highest of Australia, which is in Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
So there, the challenges were totally different. Even the jungle is known for cannibalism still. Okay. And there are a lot of tribes, and they are with their bows and arrows and everything. And the roads, there were no route as such. You had to cross rivers, you had to, the mud and everything. And then when you go to the summit, it is also very technical peak. So each of these mountains demands a certain respect and a certain kind of preparation, such that, and the mental preparation is very, very important along with the other physical aspects of it.
Satya, just getting back to your Everest expedition, right? Tell us a little bit about the views and the things you used to see around you while you were making. I know obviously it looks stunning, the pictures and all of that, but I think at that altitude and that physical duress that you're going through, everything changes, right? But what are some of the views and the things that you could experience while you were making the push to the summit?
Yeah, it's an amazing place to be there, and I think a view like there at the Everest Base Camp is something. I mean, only you can dream that that kind of view.
Sure.
Unless you go there, I mean, it's very difficult to experience, to explain that what kind of view it is. But as we go up, the terrain changes. In fact, right from Kathmandu, when we start, we take a flight to Lukla, and Lukla airport is one of those highest airports in the world, and is one of those dangerous airports in the world.
Sure.
It's a very small runway, and then from there, when we start trekking, you see amazing view all around, and mountain rivers flowing by, and greenery. And as we go up, the tree line slowly decreases, and then you look around, the snow comes in, and then finally when you reach the Everest Base Camp, you have Lhotse in front, and Khumbu icefall, the most notorious icefall there. So it's right in front of you, and you know that this is the challenge which is looking at you day in and day out, because all the 2 months mostly you stay in base camp and you are staying just on the icefall in the lower part, but you can see the whole icefall in front of you, and that's like a very shaky area. A shaky area means there are huge towers of ice, and these are all unstable towers, in different angles, and in any time it can fall off. When you should start from base camp to camp 2 or camp 1, we literally had to start early in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning, such that while we cross it, it's still cold and it doesn't melt and it doesn't tumble on us.
Sure.
In 2014, actually, like that one, in the icefall, 14 Sherpas died because of an avalanche, and that slid off a lot of icefalls and all. So then even in those areas, we are not supposed to even sneeze or cough or stand at one point for a long time.
Exactly.
So keep moving. But then as we were going from inside that areas and everything, it was so peaceful and so silent and so beautiful, and there were these creations of nature by itself. So some sculpture got formed naturally, and you feel like that's looks like an eagle, that looks like this, that. I was like, amazing it is. And then when you go to the top part of the Khumbu Icefall, then there are a lot of crevices, and you have to cross those. And in one such instance, I fell down in a crevice.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And there are some interesting things also, that day when I fell down in that crevice, the temperature there went and hit almost 40 degrees centigrade, which is unimaginable.
Wow.
But because that's because the natural formation of that place resembles almost like a solar cooker kind, and it becomes very hot during a clear sky, and that made the snow much softer, and one of the snow bridge broke, and I fell down with the entire section. Thankfully, I had my safety line. I was hooked to the safety line, and I was hanging there in a crevice for more than 25 minutes, waiting for rescue.
That must have felt like forever, right? 25 minutes. I mean.
Oh yeah. So when I fell down, there, I fell down, and it was so sudden. I didn't even realize that what is happening, and suddenly I saw myself hanging there, and everything is falling on me. And it was my mistake that I waited near the crevice end a little longer. I was taking rest because it was so hot. But the slack of the rope was almost 6 feet. And I went inside and hanging there at 6 feet. So I thought that it must be a very small crevice. I'll get out and climb up. And I just wanted to see how deep it is, that whether I will jump or whether I can walk down. I thought it was some other crevice And when I looked down, it was complete dark. I just hold back the rope again,
Oh my God.
And then I tried to understand how deep it is. So I broke a small piece of snow block and threw it down to hear the sound. I couldn't hear the sound.
Oh,
now
wow.
this time I got a bigger block, and I threw it. I couldn't hear the sound, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And then
bottomless. It's like abyss, really.
Yeah, it's an abyss, and I can't see. Also, it's dark inside, And then somehow anchored myself there with my back and legs put forward, so that I don't want to hang and open up any of the loose ends in the top. Then I knew that there was no point trying to get out and loose things up, rather than let me wait. And while I was waiting, I just wanted to capture the video there. And I was looking for my camera, and I was so upset that I couldn't find my camera. It got stuck between my bag and my back. But then I thought, let me record the whole place in my natural camera. That's my eyes. And you won't believe that place was so nice inside, and it was so silent. And just in movies and National Geographic, how you get to see that blue ice inside, and the crack has gone like extreme end, this side and that side, and like a snake. And you look there, and you could see some the top are covered in most of the places, and it is translucent, and some like light is coming inside and making it such a beautiful place. I mean, I can't even imagine, unless and until I have fallen down, I wouldn't have appreciated that place. But then after some time, I could hear the footsteps of my friends, and I shouted for help, and then finally I was rescued. But that was something
sounds scary. I mean, you're trying to see the good part of it, but I'd be freaked out. I was stuck.
No, I mean, I knew that now that I have fallen incident, I think this is what mountain taught me, that to try to accept things, that, yes, shit happened. Better accept it. Like, then try to figure out, once you accept it, because we constantly keep ourselves in denial mode, right? And then we panic, and we find that what can go wrong. Okay, this can go wrong. How can I reduce the impact? Okay, this way. Now let's not panic about it. Let's think, how do I get out of this and stuff and all. Even similarly, just when we were about to reach the Everest top, around 8,800 meters, we were at the south summit top. My left eye went blind, temporary blindness. I couldn't see anything. And just after 10 minutes from that, my oxygen mask failed. Means it got blocked.
These all sound like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but these all sound like twists in a thriller movie or something. It's so brave of you to go through all of this and still make it to the summit.
I mean, did I have a choice? I mean, like, I know that it's gone. I mean, like, now let me at least go to the summit and die rather than die halfway. And I know, so it was crazy. And then at that altitude also, around after half an hour, I went without supplemental oxygen, and it was like 1/3 of the oxygen. And as I was heading towards the summit, and I was 10 minutes before I started getting cramps in my body, indicating that I need oxygen now, no matter what.
Right.
And at that point, I kept my head cool, and I had to bargain for a mask from my Sherpa friend, and I could give him some logic, and finally he agreed to give me for 10 minutes his mask, and with that I went ahead and climbed the Everest. And at the top, it was such a beautiful place to be. I mean, like, you were literally in the top of the world. And
exactly. Tell us a little bit about the feeling. I know pictures can't do justice to it, so I'm sure it's a unique feeling that you can't even describe, but just give us a little bit of a sense as to how you felt once you reached the summit. Like, this is what you'd been working for, like, all these months, and then you've reached there, and then having come through all these challenges, how was the feeling? What were you thinking?
So when I reached to that top area, not the top part, but the area, and I could see some flags ahead, and I was like, is this the summit? I can't believe I'm there. And I was looking around, and it was amazing. I was looking left and right, and I was like enjoying the whole view. But immediately I knew that I had to go back fast because my oxygen mask malfunctioned. So but then it was like a switch, switching from here to there, again switching back. And again, I was going towards the top part, and as I was approaching the highest point, I could feel that, that this is that place where so many people, so many mountaineers, it was a dream for so many people. So many people died coming here. So many people became great after coming here. I mean, like, this is the place where Tenzing and Hillary and Mallory, everybody dreamed of this, and I am here. I mean, like, I couldn't believe, and the eyes were turning moist. And then I went and sat at the top part, and I was like looking around, sitting there, and like, it was wow. And it was just early morning, like 5:45 we reached, and it was windy still, it was cold, but then I forgot everything, and I was like absorbing the nature from there. But immediately I realized that, I have to go back. Let me take some pictures and go back. And you won't believe 3 of my cameras failed at the top.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh yeah. And then I was like breaking my head, and I found my other friend was coming, and I was so happy that he has the camera at least. So when I approached him, so he was also enjoying, and I was like, come fast. And when he came, I see the camera was on his neck, and he said his camera is also dead. And he thought that I was carrying so many cameras, so he didn't bring a spare camera. Okay. And there I was sitting on the top of Mount Everest along with my friend and Sherpa, like 3 dates. And and thinking that now my oxygen mask is malfunctioned, like, I have to give back my mask anytime now, and I don't know whether I'll be able to go back alive or not. Nobody will believe that I have come to this top, and next year that I'll come and prove them that I have really come last year also. That also will not be available if I don't reach back safe. And then there was some Chinese side. There were some people who submitted, and they were clicking some pictures. Okay. And initially I tried to get their attention and tried to get a picture or so. But then I realized at 8848 meter is not the right place to exchange business cards. Like, send me in the email.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like a twist again, I saw another Sherpa. He took out the camera and he was clicking selfies. Okay. And he was the person who denied giving me initially his mask, and he thought that I am asking his mask again. So, and he was not even doing an eye contact also. And then, so like lot of stories there, and then finally I could click some pictures and even got a 360-degree view of the video. And as I was about to give back my mask, I saw that the Sherpa friend, he was using my mask, and I was shocked that how come he can use my mask because it was not working.
Right.
And then he pointed out to the sun, and he saw that the sun came up and the block went clear.
Okay.
And I was like, good, I'll not die.
Only frozen, right?
Yeah, it was frozen actually, and then the top got okay, and then finally I could come back, and so everything has like so many stories, and I think you need many more episodes to tell all the stories.
I know, it'd probably take up a season. Wow, and how long did you stay at the summit for? There's so much happening. I'm just wondering how long it was for.
Yeah, almost 45 minutes. Okay. Even that took me a toll for staying that long, and while coming down, I was facing some problems, and I even slept off at one place.
God. Yeah, this is crazy. This sounds unreal at so many points, and I guess even because of the height you are and how thin the oxygen levels are and everything, I'm sure your brain also doesn't function like normally, right?
Yeah, it's a hypoxic situation happens when you are there with so less oxygen. Fortunately, I didn't see any hallucinations and stuff like that, but there are a lot of instances where people do net and jump off and all those things.
Yes, it is truly amazing, and this is the first time I'm speaking at length about a summit, and what better way than it being Mount Everest. I know you, as you said, you have to be there to kind of experience it, but thank you so much for explaining it so well for our listeners, and then kind of giving us a flavor of how it is and what the challenges one has to go through. And as I said, I've been repetitive over the course of the podcast, but hats off to you for going through all these adversities, be it your say physical constraints in the form of asthma or financial at some point, and even emotional and mental at so many levels, given the deaths of people you looked at who were friends who started off with you, or even the earthquake and everything just before you started off the previous year and all of that. So hats off to you. We're so glad that you made it, and you are the first from Karnataka. I mean, now we'll say you're from Karnataka when the Bible.
Yeah, of course. This is my karma bhumi. I have been in Karnataka from 2005 onwards, and my janma bhumi is Bengal, but my karma bhumi is here. And with all your support, I think in my next venture that I'm doing now, I need all your support and well wishes. So I am climbing the highest volcano of all the 7 continents, and I'm already done with 3. That's called the 7 volcanic summits, and now I'm left with 4 more, and hopefully by next January I should be able to complete all this.
Absolutely. 7. Our good wishes are obviously with you, but tell us how one can contribute to this expedition and to this effort that you're undertaking, Satya.
Yeah, I mean, before the expeditions which are beyond my capacity, I do some crowdfunding, and for that you need to follow my Facebook page to get more information when the next expedition is coming. And I also give some motivational talks to corporates. So in any case, if anyone wants to connect me to the corporates, that is a good way of helping me in the expeditions, because this helps me fund my expeditions. And of course, any sponsorship opportunities, definitely any marketing, branding opportunities, if it is there, like mountaineering is a great way to showcase the products. So there are many ways, and most importantly, just keep me in your prayers. I think that would be even more valuable for me.
Absolutely. That is a given. But even otherwise, in any which way we can within our limits, we will share all the links to Satya's Facebook page as well as his other resources that one can go ahead and contribute to. I mean, this is a dream of a lot of people see, but I know only a handful of them have the courage and the willpower and the mental strength to kind of see it through, as in your case. So I urge sincerely that all our listeners also come ahead and contribute to this effort that Satya has been taking and making all of us proud. And as he said, Karnataka is his karma bhumi now. So I hope a lot of us do come forward and contribute to this effort that Satya has taken up. And Satya, just in terms of the next expeditions coming your way, you did mention that you're aiming to scale the highest volcano. When is this? What are the timelines you're looking at?
In June, July, I am planning to climb the highest volcanoes in Australia, that is in Papua New Guinea, and then I'll go to Iran in July, and Mexico in October, and in January, I have to climb the highest volcano in Antarctica. So that's a huge expense, like 45 lakh rupees. And then even I have to also go and finish my adventurous Grand Slam by completing the skiing of North Pole. So these are all in the line. And as I always say to all the listeners, that dreaming is very, very important. And no matter how absurd it might seem, never stop dreaming or never put limits and boundaries to your dreams. So just dream big. And then even just dreaming won't help. So you have to go ahead and take every step towards your dream, and you have to chase your dream. So dream big and chase your dreams. That's all I have to say for my wonderful listeners.
Absolutely. On that profound note, thank you so much, Satya. You are truly an inspiration to all of us, not just in terms of mountaineering, but just in terms of dreaming big and following up those dreams with actions. We wish you all the best of luck and the best of health for all your upcoming expeditions. Thank you so much, Satya, for sharing your story with us and our listeners.
Thank you, Musafir Stories.
That was yet another great episode of the Musafir Stories. If you guys like the show, please subscribe to us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Audioboom, Savan, Pocket Casts, Castbox, Stitcher, or any other podcasting app available on iOS or Android. Please do leave us a review on iTunes. It goes a long way in the show's discoverability. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We go by the handle The Musafir Stories. Or, if it suits you, you could email us at themusafirstories@gmail.com or visit our website at www.themusafirstories.com for more information. All of these links will be made available in the show notes section of each episode. So here's to more traveling, sharing, and inspiring. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, happy travels and goodbye.